Hello everyone, welcome to Coder in Boots. So in this video, we are going to discuss about the deployment of Nginx in a Docker container. Okay, so we have discussed several topics about Nginx in our previous videos. Now we are going to see how we can deploy or use Nginx in a Docker. So the following are the contents that we are going to discuss today. So one is how to run an Nginx Docker container. Then second one, how to host a website within an Nginx Docker container. The third one is how to configure an external port for an Nginx Docker container. Then next, how to build a custom Nginx image with our own web content. Then after that, we'll be discussing about how to manage the web content from the host. That means instead of like bundling inside the Nginx image, so how can we manage the content from the host externally? The next is how to manage the Nginx configuration file from the host instead of directly bundling inside the Nginx container. Okay, so these are the topics, and we'll try to cover it in a max of 20 to 30 minutes. Okay, so let's get into the content. So I'm not going to present a lot of slides. I'm going to show the practical example directly by executing or getting into each of these topics. Okay, so Nginx has an official Docker image which is available in the Docker Hub. So if you basically go to hub.docker.com Nginx, then you will see this Nginx official build, okay, Docker image, and here you can see there are a lot of tags. Tags means basically the versions or variants, and depending upon the type of variant, the size varies, like the operating system architecture varies. So we can pick up the Nginx tag based on our own requirement. Okay, if you see some of these are very lightweight, see, like 5.13 MB, but some are like, I mean, even larger sized. If you see 65, 70 MB, 76, 80 MB. So depending upon where we are using and what's the purpose, so we can select like our own tag. Okay, so whatever is required from this list. So I'm going to use like a standard image, so which has, like, I mean, most of the normal or the standard features available from for a particular web application deployment. So let's get into the system. Okay, so this is my Linux machine. So I have Docker already installed. So Docker PS, if you see, right now there are no containers running in this machine, but service Docker status. Okay, so Docker let's see, ps-aux pipe pipe grep Docker. Okay, so you can see Docker is running, so it's installed as a snap installation. That's why, like, I mean, it is not available as a normal service. So you can see Docker is running in this machine. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to first install an Nginx directly on this machine. Okay, so what will happen is it will pull the image from the Docker registry, which is basically available in this particular location. So from this official Docker registry, it will pull that. Okay, so you can see, like, by default, if you just execute docker pull Nginx, it will pull the image from the remote registry to your local machine. Okay, and if you're not specifying any tag over here, it will just download the latest tag from the Nginx registry. Okay, so let's download. Okay, so let's run or download the Nginx. So docker, so I'm going to use this command, docker run -- name. Okay, so I'm going to put my Nginx. Okay, so then -d, okay, Nginx. Okay, so this will basically pull the Nginx latest from, so you see this message, unable to find the image Nginx latest locally. So what is doing, it is basically pulling the latest image from the remote repository, and it is downloading the image. Okay, and what's this command, docker run this is the container name, hyphen name, my Nginx is the container name, okay, hyphen D, and this is the image, okay. So I didn't specify any tag. If you are specifying a tag, it's like I mean hyphen D Nginx colon the tag name, okay. And it's downloading depending upon the bandwidth, it gets pulled, okay. So right now I have a medium bandwidth connection, that's why it's taking some time. It's pulling various layers of the image, okay. It pulled, okay, you see it pulled the image. Now you see the container over here. So now docker ps, see, you can see a container running here. Previously when I executed, there was no container over here. Image is Nginx, okay, and the name, I gave a name hyphen name my Nginx, right? You can see my Nginx, port is 80, okay. But how will I access this Nginx? Okay, because it's showing port 80, but the port 80 is basically the, if you just do ifconfig of the machine. So in this Linux machine, if I do ifconfig, you will see various network interfaces getting listed, okay. So Kali, this is all Kubernetes related. Then there is a Docker 0 network interface. This is basically the default Docker network interface, okay. It is in the range 172.17.0.1 range, okay. So but if you see my laptops or my computers network, it's in 190.168. You see it's in ENP0. This is 190.168. So if I try to access this site from my computer's browser, okay, it won't list anything, right? So let's see what is the IP address of our container, okay. So what we can do is docker inspect, then the container name ID, okay. So in this container information, you will see a JSON, okay. This basically, if you type docker inspect and the container ID, so you will get a JSON that is basically the full info of the container. So in this you will see a network section. There you can see the IP address of this particular container. It's 192.168.172.170.2, okay. So let's hit this in the browser. So not accessible because I am trying from a browser which is present in a machine where we have a separate, completely different network interface. So what we can do from this machine, anyway, this Linux machine has it has, I mean, connectivity to that same interface, right? So we can just do curl http:// okay, just this IP. Let's see what happens. You can see welcome to Nginx. The HTML content got printed in the console. So welcome to Nginx, okay, and this is basically the default landing page of Nginx. That means our Nginx container is running. But my problem is, how can I expose it to my external network, okay, so or basically the host network. So there is a simple thing. What we will do is, so let's stop the ps, okay. I'm stopping the container, okay, removed, okay. Now what I'll do is, I'll do a little bit slight change in the configuration, okay. I have to do -p, okay, 80:8080. So what I'll do is, I'll basically do a mapping of, okay, so a port in this Nginx. So internally it is running on port 80, right? So I wanted to expose or route the internal port of the Docker container to my host network. So to my host network, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use 8080 in my host network, and I'm going to map the internal port 80 to 8080 of my host network, okay. Let's see what will happen right now. So I'm running it again, okay, docker ps. Now you will see, okay, the container ID, image, everything, but you will see a port, you will see 00:8080. It's mapped to 80 TCP of the 80 TCP of what? The Docker container. Now from the browser network, so it's basically, it is mapped to the host, okay. It's basically mapped to the host IP. So what is the IP address of this machine? ifconfig, and the host machine, I have something, this one, 192.168.1.12. So what I'm going to do, 192.168.1.12:8080. You see, now I have the Nginx. From where it is getting served? It is served from the Docker container that is running over here, Okay, so this is the container. Okay, and I am able to access it over 8080. You can specify any port over here. You can even specify the simple port 80 as well. I already have an Nginx running in my laptop, in my machine. So if you see service Nginx status, you see there is already an Nginx running locally. That's why I'm not mapping into 8080. No, 80 in the local host. The reason, there will be conflict and it won't run. That's why I used port 8080. Okay, so now the next thing is, how will we deploy web content to this particular Nginx? Right now we just saw a simple Nginx without any web content. How will we host this web content? Now for that, what we need some web content, right? So let's download something from the internet. Website, simple website HTML, GitHub. Let's take something from some basic website. Yeah, so let's pull this from, thanks to the author of this particular content, HTML site. So I'm going to pull, so mkdir, okay, coder Nginx. I'm going to create a directory over here, cd coder Nginx. So git clone. I'm going to clone the content from that particular repository. So I'm assuming there will be some decent web content over there. Okay, so it has an HTML content. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this in the document root of Nginx. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, instead of like getting into the container and placing it, I'm going to mount this. I have right now, if you see, this is in /root/coder Nginx/basic HTML website. This is a directory where I have the web content. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this to the HTML or the document root of my Nginx. What is the usual document root of Nginx? It is basically /user/share Nginx HTML, right? So what I'll do is I'll basically do the mount. Okay, so this is the command. I'm going to copy this command. Okay, I'll paste it to the new slide. Okay, I'll paste it here. Okay, so docker run -name some Nginx. This is the name of the container. -v is basically for volume. We are mounting a local volume, okay, to the document root of Nginx. Okay, and :ro stands for read only. That means inside the container it is going read only, but in the host, this is the host path. So this host path, it will be read write. Okay, -d detach. -d stands for detach, and then this Nginx is the image name. Okay, so in this way, in our case, what will be the command? It will be the same, and here instead of this path, we need to update this path with our path, right? cd basic website. This is our path. Okay, let's frame the command. So -v here, okay, root coder Nginx basic HTML website, user share Nginx HTML ro -d Nginx. Okay, and this is, I'm going to name this container as my Nginx site. Okay, and along with this, what we'll do the port mapping. Okay, -p, okay, 8081 80, because we already have one Nginx running in 8080. That's why I'm doing it with 8081, right? Maybe let's stop the existing one. Okay, I stopped it. Now we can use port 8080 itself, and then let's run this. What will happen when we run this? The command is docker run name my Nginx site -v, this directory. So don't worry about the directory that I'm using. As this is an example, I am just using root, and also I'm running docker as a root. Okay, but in a production scenario, we'll not be doing like this. Okay, so this is just an example. That's why I'm showing it from the root user. Okay, so this is the local path of my web content. This is the path inside the Docker container. Okay, so it's user share nginx HTML. This is the document root directory, and then -d detach, and then -p is for port. Okay, 8080 to 80, then nginx. Let's see now, executed. Let's see, you see here my nginx site, it's up. Now let's open the browser. Okay, let's refresh this. See, okay, nice, some website came. Okay, so what this is the content of what we downloaded. You see a website came, and if you see the location of this is basically it's running from a Docker container. Okay, cool, our website is up. Okay, so like this, right now what we did, we mounted a volume of what the document root to the document root of nginx. In this way, what we can do, let's say I wanted to modify some content. Okay, so let's get into the HTML. So this is my local directory, the host directory. Okay, in the index.html, I am just editing index.html. So in the index.html, maybe the header, I'm going to make some change. Instead of bot name, okay, bot name, I just change the HTML. Okay, without even restarting the wait, delete, wait, it's yeah, you see here already changed. Okay, this is the, here if you see bot name coder. Okay, whatever change I made, automatically it refreshed here. So it was the, let's open it again, it was in the title. Okay, I modified the title. That is why you see bot name coder. So let's modify something in the body itself. Okay, so in the body, in the home, I am keeping sort of home, I am making coder home. See, coder home. So without modifying or restarting the container, I can modify the content directly from my host machine. So this is the advantage. I am mounting my host directory to the container. Okay, so similarly, what are the things that we manage usually that we regularly manage? So one is this document root, second is something, the log directory, right, the nginx logs, the third is the configuration file, right, and maybe fourth one we can say the SSL certificate rotation. So these are the four items usually people interact or manage in the nginx. Okay, so before doing that, we can have volumes attached to those directories as well. Okay, so that means let's get into the container. Okay, docker ps. So we can get inside the container by using the command docker. I'm just clearing the screen. Okay, docker exec -it, then the container id, then /bin/bash. This is basically, it is going to execute this command in this particular container. That's the meaning of this. So we will get inside the container. Right now, if you see, this was my host machine and this is my container. Okay, now if you see ls, this is the root directory of the container, and c /usr nginx user share, what was the mount directory? It was user share nginx, right? User share nginx, see, HTML is there. Okay, so this is something, it is all something that came from our mounted location, that's from our machine. Okay, so let's see where is the nginx configuration. /etc nginx, see, there is an nginx conf, right? This is the default configuration of nginx. Conf.d is there, right? There are so many things inside, right? How can we mount it outside? Easy. Okay, so we can have a volume created, okay, a mount created for /etc nginx conf. Okay, so we can do it this way, or we can even have mounts created for conf.d directory, so that we can have configurations managed from outside to the conf.d. Okay, and let's see where is the nginx log directory. Okay, usually it will be in var log nginx. You see var log nginx access log. So how can we manage from outside? It's simple, just create a mount directory to var log nginx from the external host machine. So the crux is here, sorry, the here in this one we have used -v, single volume, right? We can have n number of volumes like this. That means we can have another v, okay, then another volume, maybe /var, okay, my nginx log to var log nginx okay. So what will happen? So the first one is for the web content, second one is for the log directory, third one you can do it for configuration file as well, okay. So in that way you can manage everything from outside, okay. So now we discussed about what running container, okay, hosting website within a container, doing the port mapping, okay. Next okay, manage web content from the host also we covered. Next is how to build a custom Nginx image, okay. So what we'll do is, for building an image we need something called a Docker file, right? Let's exit from this image, okay. So we need to build it using something called Docker file. Let's create Docker file, okay. So in this Docker file, what we need the contents to be added. So first line of the Docker file is what we need to specify: the base image from Nginx. This is the base image. And next we need to do what? Copy our content to the Nginx, right? Copy our content to the Nginx. So how will we do? Where is our web content? So let's come out from this file. So blog HTML site is the content, right? Copy blog HTML website to what? User share HTML, right? This is the thing, okay. Now let's see what happens, okay. Docker build -t, okay, my nginx image v1, okay. v1 is a tag, okay. Dot docker build -t, the image name tag, then dot is the current directory where I have the Docker file. Let's execute this, okay. Let's see what happens. It should build, okay. It is building, okay. It is transferring, okay. It's build. Now Docker images, you see my nginx image tag v1 is there, so the image got created, okay. Now let's see how we can, so this image is right now stored in the local image, basically in the local machine, okay. If you want to push this image to an external repository, you can use docker push command. Now docker run -p, okay, 8080. So let's, before that, let's stop the previous docker, stop the previous one, right? Okay, docker run hyphen name my custom site -p 8080:80 -d, then base image is my nginx image v1, right? That's it, okay. Now docker ps, see it's running, right? Docker logs, okay. So it started. Now let's see what is happening in the image, okay. So it is 192.168.12:8080, okay. Now it has started working, so it is hosted. So that means in this case I didn't mount anything from outside, but it's the image itself has my content. I created my custom image, okay. If you see the image, it's pointing to my custom image, okay. Let's get into the container. So what we can do, docker exec -it, okay, container, then /bin/bash. Now go to /usr share nginx html. Let's see what is inside. Now you see the contents, whatever I copied, right? In my Docker file, in the Docker file, I used copy, then this directory to /user share HTML, right? Nginx HTML, right? The content got copied. The content is directly placed inside this image. So this is how you can build your maybe let's say if you want a container for your website, okay, and you don't want to manage anything from outside, you want the entire image to be created as this, you can create it in this way, okay, with a simple Docker file, just 2 lines, right? Because this has the entire Nginx, and yes, you are managing the what you're copying the static content, the web content, to the Nginx root directory, okay. So this covers the topic of what creating your custom Docker image, okay. Now maybe one more thing I'll cover, so just the configuration management, okay. Let's say if you want to export, okay, so let's say, okay, let me come out of this image. So let's say if you want to take the configuration file directly out from your Nginx, okay, you wanted the default configuration of the Nginx Docker image in your local machine, okay, you can use this command, docker run, okay, --rm, okay, entry point cat. So entry point cat means it will execute the cat command on the Nginx image on this file /etc nginx conf, and it will pipe to what? Pipe to local file nginx conf. That means the contents of nginx conf within the Docker image will get saved inside the Docker, the local file nginx conf, and the container gets removed. It's not going to run, it's just going to execute a cat command, okay. So I'm just running this. At the end of this, what will happen? You will see a file that got generated, nginx conf cat nginx conf. See, this is the default nginx conf. Now, as I explained previously, let's say if you want to manage docker ps, if you want to manage the Docker configuration file from outside, what you can do is you can mount this configuration file from the host machine directly within the container. How to do that? Docker, okay, run, okay, hyphen name, okay, my Nginx with host conf, okay, then -v, okay, /root, okay, root, then coder nginx.conf, okay, then within the container, what is the path? Within the container, the path is /etc nginx conf, right? Then -p, I am going to run 8080:80, then -d nginx, okay. See, this conf I manage it from local, okay. That means my local configuration file will be pointing to the configuration file within the nginx, okay. Then okay, let's see, again started. Now let's refresh. It will be the basic default HTML page, the Nginx home page, and now you see Nginx conf. You see the configuration file is managed from outside, okay. So in this way, configuration file, you can have the Nginx container running, but the conf file you can manage from outside. You can change the log directory or whatever configuration you want, you can change. This is just an example. Instead of maybe mounting or pointing this config file, you can even mount the conf.d directory where you can add custom configurations, everything, okay. So I just gave an example of how to mount it from or how to mount a local directory or a file to something within the container. So I hope with this you are clear with managing Nginx within Docker. So in the same way, we can have like right now I have shown the Nginx that is running in default 80 port, but you can have virtual host created and you can have SSL certificates deployed, everything in the same way. Okay, and you can even manage the SSL certificate from external location, from the host machine itself, by using the -v, the volume mechanism, the location mechanism. Okay, so I hope this session is useful. If you have any questions questions or comments, feel free to comment below this video. I'll definitely respond back. Thank you very much for watching this video. Have a nice day.